Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is JC. Today, we're going to look at another marketing law, the law of hype. And this law is one of the most interesting one that I've read. And the article is really interesting. So let's read it together and then I'll add some thoughts to it. The law of hype. The law of hype talks about the fact that history is filled with marketing failures that were successful in the press. This chapter talks primarily about new things which claim to make existing things obsolete. Such products tend to become darlings in the press because the notion of breakthrough innovation is very attractive to readers. People love to read stories about things like the personal helicopter, which was supposed to make cars obsolete several decades ago. So the press jumps on the bandwagon, stories get written, newspapers get sold, and people get excited, and they still drive their cars to work every day. What I love about this chapter is that it was written in the early 90s, before the web, and it still rings amazingly true. The web was supposed to obsolete almost everything. Today, we can see that the web has changed life in many ways, but most of the previous structures and systems are still with us. There are lots of examples in the chapter, all of them prior to 1994. Polyester did not obsolete wool. The video phone has now been getting pressed for 40 years, but most people still use a plain old audio phone. Compare those examples to the overhyped things of the last 10 years. Webvan came, and I still shop at a grocery store. The Segway came, and I still drive my car. Amazon came, and I still go to the border store near my home. The truth is that fundamental change doesn't occur so easily. Even when the innovation is quite real, people are not quick to give up existing mainstream products and services. The chapter doesn't mention this, but I think the venture capital industry deserves as much blame for excess hype as the press. Perhaps even more than magazine readers, VCs love the idea of a product which obsoletes existing mainstream products. They need high-risk, high-reward investments. Convincing a VC that your product will make cars obsolete is a great way to get funded. If we are upset about the level of hype in our world, and I'm not saying that we are, the press and the VCs are equally guilty. The vast majority of companies thrive and make a profit in a world which is completely disjoint from the one where the VCs and the press live. They don't spend their time convincing investors and reporters that their product will change the world. Instead, they spend their time convincing customers that their product is a good purchase. It's very difficult to do both. That's why the companies you see on the front page are often dead within a few years, while the companies make real money are the ones you hardly ever hear about. It's a choice between fame and fortune. Rare is the product which achieves both. So the important thing here is for entrepreneurs to see both paths clearly and make a conscious choice. For small independent software vendors, it's inconceivable to me that the path of hype is the wise choice. Find something boring and profitable. So that's the blog post, and I have several thoughts here. So the first thought regarding the web was supposed to obsolete almost everything. This is an interesting one. He mentioned today we can see that the web has changed life in many ways, but most of the previous structures and systems are still with us. And he used the example like Borders. Well, nowadays, fast forward 10 years or 10 more years, Borders have gone bankrupt. So I guess the web does change the world, but it just takes a lot longer time than people would normally expect. And so it's kind of yes and no. So new technology, new things does change the world. It's just taking time, and also sometimes it's a high risk. It's not always be able to change the world. And another thing I've thought about is Amazon came, and he mentioned he still go to Borders. Well, we talked about that. Another thing is what's old is new again. So, for example, people he mentioned video phone and stuff like that. But these days, the people use cell phone and they do video chats. So it's not like the video phone is it's not useful. It's actually it's just not the right time at that time. But now it's pretty popular. And another thought is that I have is that classic is good. So the word classic doesn't mean it's out of date or it's not good. In fact, I think classic is good because if the thing has existed for a long time, then statistically speaking, the thing could exist for a lot longer time. The last thought is that he mentioned it's a choice between fame and fortune. Rare is the product which achieves both. And I think this is also a yes and no here because if you look at a lot of businesses, yes, business has to choose whether the business wants fame or the business wants fortune. But there are some businesses that you can combine both fame and fortune. For example, media business. If you do a media business, then you can have fame and also you can have fortune. For example, if you are a celebrity like a podcaster, or if you are a celebrity writer, then you can be very famous and then you can also be very wealthy. So that's also a kind of business. So it really depends on the type of the business that you're trying to do. It's not always the case where you have to make a choice between fame and fortune. So overall, I think this article is pretty good, but I have some reservation about certain points he mentioned. Reading this article, I've learned that it's better to focus on the money and focus on the practical aspect of the business rather than focusing on the vanity metrics. Like, for example, if you have a website, like you don't want to focus purely on traffic or on users. You want to focus on orders and the net profit rather than even gross profit. So it's really a matter of what you focus on that will make your business a success. And any business can be successful. Alright, so that's my thought for today, and we're going to study another law of marketing tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow then.